Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be getting into this fall-inspired graphic liner fox eye look. So if you want to see how I got it, then just make sure to go ahead and keep on watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that little notification bell. That way you get notified anytime I make a new upload. So to start off this look, I'm going to carve underneath the brows using the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Concealer in shade 4.3. And I'm also going to add this to the outer portion of the eye. I always like to use a concealer that's a little bit closer to my skin tone when I'm doing like my brow bone and like carving underneath the brows and stuff. That way when I go in with my foundation later on, like everything blends in super smoothly and it's not like too bright at the brow bone. I'm then gonna go in with my primer. I'm using the Be Perfect Perfect Prime eyeshadow base to prep these eyes for some shadow. Even though I'm not going super heavy with shadow today, I definitely wanna make sure to still apply some primer because I have these little lines on my eyes here and they're always creasing up on me. So having that primer there is gonna make sure that those lines don't crease up as easily. Once I'm done blending in that primer into the concealer, I'm gonna set the eyes using some translucent powder. Honestly, any translucent powder works just fine. You would just wanna make sure that you set this concealer and primer. Anytime that I'm doing an eye look that's like really soft and very light like this, I always like to set the eye area just to make it a lot easier to blend out the shadows and get that really diffused look. So for my shadows today, I'm going to be using the Be Perfect Carnival 4 palette, also known as the Antidote palette. I have been loving this palette. It's just like the perfect like selection of neutrals. There's warm toned neutrals, cool toned neutrals, olivey type of colors, and you know, it's just perfect. It's amazing. I love this palette. First shade that I'm going into is Lotta Latte, and we're going to apply this onto the outer corner using a really fluffy brush. Like I said earlier, this is a really light, like super soft eyeshadow look. So for the most part, I'm going to be using like much fluffier brushes than I normally do to blend out these shadows. And if you are wondering, the brush that I'm using is a Sigma E45. So far so good. Next shadow I'm going into is Buff from the same palette, and we're going to be applying this onto the lid. For this shadow I'm using more of a flat brush, but it still has a little bit of fluffiness to it, so it works really well for like these matte shadows. This is the Morphe M522. We're going to press that into the lid and just make sure to blend it into that outer corner color. And then for the inner corner, I'm going to go into the shade Dove, and to apply that I'm using a Morphe M506. Now that I'm looking at this eyeshadow look, I actually really like it by itself. I feel like this could be a cute like everyday eyeshadow look, you know what I mean? Like super soft with like a pair of lashes. You could probably even do like a regular like winged liner and that would be a cute like everyday look. And last shadow that I'm going to be using is Fawn. I'm going back in with that Sigma E45 brush and I'm applying that onto the outer corner as well, right on top of a Lotta Latte. I'm using this color to kind of bring some extra warmth into the eye look. I only used a small amount and just kind of blended it over our previous outer corner color. So that's all I'm going to do for eyeshadow. I'm then going to move into this liner that we got going on right here. It looks so bomb. I love the way that this liner came out. So I'm going to be using the Sheen Color Festival 9 color eyeliner palette. This is a water activated eyeliner palette. I'm going to be using the burgundy color on the bottom left hand side. So to activate these, all you have to do is take a little bit of water and add it directly on top of your eyeliner, then mix it together using a brush. I'll do like a couple of test lines like on the back of my hand just to make sure the consistency is right before I go in with like the product onto my eyes. But yeah, these liners are so bomb. I've been super obsessed with like water activated liners these days, and these ones from Sheen Cosmetics are so cool. They have like 3 different types of like palettes like these. There's this palette that I'm using right here called the Festival palette, and then there's like a neon themed one. These liners are so nice. If you guys have not tried water activated liners, I highly recommend. It's a really easy way to bring some color into an eye look. So the liner look that I'm going for is definitely like a fox eye shape. I'm doing a wing on both the inner and outer corner. Then I'm going to bring the outer corner wing back into the crease. I'm still pretty much a slowpoke when it comes to liner, so this definitely took me a couple of minutes to kind of get right, especially since like I'm a perfectionist. Like I need everything to be perfect and super sharp and neat and stuff. So I think that's the reason why I've been really loving graphic liner these days, because it's like it forces you to like take your time, kind of relax and just focus on this one thing. It's very therapeutic if you ask me. I'm obsessed with the way that this liner came out. I'm telling you, anytime that I do like a graphic liner look, I'm so proud of myself. I'm gonna throw on some mascara. I used one from Rare Beauty, and then the lashes that I'm using today are from Eye Envy. These are the Remy 3D lashes in style number 5. I've been super into like more of like a natural lash these days, and like these like shorter winged lashes like in the outer corner have been like the vibe for me, and they go perfectly with like these fox eye type of looks, especially if you like push the outer corner upward. Ooh, it's so cute. I've been living for like these like shorter natural lashes, and they're only like $3 at the beauty supply store, which is like another plus. So I'm gonna pause here with the eyes and then move into skin. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream Instant Turnaround Moisturizer. Been loving this stuff, especially underneath makeup. It's a much thicker moisturizer, but I really like that because I know that when I do skin, I use a lot of powders. So it's really important for me to moisturize well. So I love using a thicker moisturizer just to really make sure that the skin is nice and moisturized before I go in with all of those powders. Then for primer, I'm going to be using the Rare Beauty Pore Diffusing Primer. I think I've only used this primer like 1 or 2 times, but it gives the skin like that nice blurred effect. Then for a little bit of glow, I'm using the Valentino V Lighter Dual Use Liquid Light Face Base and Top Coat. I believe this is in shade Ambra, if I'm not mistaken, but I've been loving this stuff. It gives the skin like a really nice sheen, and it looks beautiful underneath like skin tints, tinted moisturizers. But the foundation that I'm using today is a little bit more full coverage. This one is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation, and I'm using shade Neutral 11. You guys already know, I've been like raving about this foundation for who knows how long. It's a really good foundation. Like, man, I love this stuff. It's just so good. The finish is flawless. It's not too matte, not too dewy. It's like that perfect satin finish. Another product that I've just been like obsessed with these days is the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Concealer. I like to go in with M18 first and do like my under eye concealing. Then I'll go in with just like a teeny bit of M16 and apply that underneath the eyes as well. I love this concealer kind of for like similar reasons why I love the Charlotte Tilbury foundation. It's not overly drying, but it's also not like super dewy or anything like that. And it has like that perfect amount of coverage. So these days I've been applying my concealer with a brush first. So I'll use like a fluffier brush to kind of like blend the concealer in and place it exactly where I want it to go. Then I'll go over the concealer with a sponge to smooth everything out. You guys already know what time it is. We're using the Chanel Natural Finish Loose Powder in shade number 20 to set our concealer. This little trio of products, like the Charlotte Tilbury foundation with the Pat McGrath concealer and the Chanel powder, has been like, it's magical, okay? It's magical. They just look so good layered on top of each other. But yeah, I'm using that Chanel powder to set that Pat McGrath concealer. I like to use a brush to do my first initial set of powder. The brush that I'm using is a Sigma F67, also known as their Skin Perfector brush. This brush is fluffier, but it's more on the flat side, so it's perfect to set underneath the eyes. Then to set the rest of my foundation, I'm going to be using a new powder that I just received from Huda Beauty. This is their Glowish Luminous Pressed Powder in shade Extra Tan number 9. This powder is stunning. It is gorgeous. It's not a super full coverage powder, and I love it on top of the Charlotte Tilbury foundation because it doesn't like take away too much from the finish of the foundation because the powder has more of like that luminous look to it. I'm using this loose powder from Jordana Tisia. This is a black-owned brand based out in the UK, and the powder that I'm using is in shade Peaches. I love the finish of this powder, but I love it even more for the shade. I like the fact that it's more of a peachy undertone versus like a yellow. I'm using this powder to bake, so I'm snatching up the sides of the nose, the bridge of the nose as well. As I'm applying the powder, I'm gonna make sure to dust away the edges that are close to like the cheekbones. That way when I'm done baking, I have a nice smooth transition between like my bronzer, my blush, my foundation, and then my concealer. I'm definitely a powder puff girl. I love a good powder puff, but these triangle shaped ones have been like the move for me, especially since I like to bake with my powder puff. I can get those super clean lines down the sides of the nose. I'm definitely going to make sure to leave a link to these down below in the description box just in case you guys are searching for some new powder puffs and you like to bake. I highly recommend these. They've just been like giving me all types of life. While my under eyes and my nose are baking, I'm going to go in with my bronzer and my blush. For bronzer, I'm using Cinnabay from Color Grain. And then for blush, I'm actually going to be using a few different colored blushes. I'm going to start off with the Huda Beauty Cheeky Vegan Blush Powder in shade Caring Coral. This is also a new addition to the Glowish line. I think it launched the same time as that powder that we used before. It's cute. I like this color. It has like a nice like corally pink type of shade. Then I decided to go in with the Be Perfect Cosmetics, a shapeshifter palette in collaboration with Zachary Vang and Kohl's World. I'm using the blush side, and I'm going to apply Amulet, which is the orangey type of shade, onto the apples of the cheeks as well. And I'm going to use Leos, which is the yellow, and I'm placing that like above where I put my blush. Who knew that yellow was like a vibe when it comes to blush? I feel like it gives the skin like this very golden look to it that I'm obsessed with. So once I'm done applying my blush, I'm going to pause there and move back to the eyes. I'm just going to add some liner into the waterline. I'm using the BH Cosmetics Power Pencil in shade Beige, and then I'll go in with a little bit of shadow on the lower lash line. I'm using shade Aubergine from the Carnival Pore palette. Then to complete the eyes, I'm going to go in with my mascara. I'm going back in with the same Rare Beauty mascara that I applied onto my top lashes. Now it's time to dust away our bake and apply our nose highlight. I'm using MAC's Extra Dimension Skin Finish in shade Oh Darling. So I ended up doing my brows off camera, so I'm going to jump straight into this lip combo. I'm going to start lining the lips using the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop lip liner in shade Intimidate. I'm going to make sure to feather in the outer corners of the lips as well, so that way when I go in with my lipstick, everything blends in super easily. And then for a little bit of extra definition for the lips, I'm using Melt Cosmetics All Day Everyday Lip Liner in shade Edible. With this, I'm basically creating a really thin line around the very edge of the lips to create some extra definition. And then for my lipstick, I'm using the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in shade London and Cairo. I'm going to use London first since it's a little bit darker. Then I'll use just a tiny bit of Cairo on the very center. And of course, we got to go in with some setting spray. I'm using the Rare Beauty Always an Optimist 4-in-1 Mist. And that pretty much completes this look, guys. I really hope you enjoyed today's makeup tutorial. I've definitely been into the Fox eyeliner trend. It just makes the eyes look so snatched. I'm obsessed. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think down below in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I love you, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.